All right, today we're jumping into some ancient Pali texts to unpack this really cool metaphor for understanding our own minds. It's all about the art of a goldsmith and the process of refining gold.
So, what if I told you that your mind, in its natural default state, is actually brilliant? Like pure gold? The sources we're looking at pose this exact idea, that our mind is inherently luminous, but it's just gotten clouded over. This whole metaphor is basically a roadmap for how we can restore that natural shine.
So let's start with this core concept, your mind as raw potential, just like a chunk of unrefined gold ore. Think about that for a second. This isn't about something being broken that needs to be fixed. Not at all. It's about something incredibly precious that just needs to be uncovered.
Now, the texts have a specific Pali word for these things that cloud the mind, Kilesa. You can basically think of these as the impurities, all the dirt, the grime, and the bits of worthless rock that are mixed in with the actual gold.
And this right here is such a powerful statement. It suggests that the tarnish, that dullness we all feel from time to time, isn't actually a fundamental part of the mind itself. It's an add-on. It's something that came in from the outside, which means it can be removed.
Okay, so what exactly are these impurities? Well, the texts don't just leave it to your imagination. They get really specific and draw a direct parallel between the junk and metal ore and the defilements in our own minds.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. Look how explicit this is. It's not some vague general idea. They literally map it out. Just like mixing in base metals like iron or lead would completely ruin the quality of gold, these specific mental states are said to compromise the purity and function of the mind.
These 5 are collectively known as the hindrances, and for a very good reason. They literally hinder us. They block our clarity, obstruct our view, and pretty much prevent any real progress in understanding ourselves.
And if we dig even deeper, we find that a lot of these hindrances and other impurities actually spring from 3 fundamental roots: greed, aversion, and delusion. You could say these are the primary sources of all that tarnish on the mind.
So now that we've identified all the impurities, the next logical question is, how do we get rid of them? Well, the texts provide an answer by continuing with the goldsmith metaphor, outlining a really clear methodical process for purification.
And this process is laid out as a gradual path. You don't start with the hardest part. First, the goldsmith just washes away the obvious chunky stuff, the dirt and gravel. Then he rinses away the finer sands. And only then, once that's done, does he apply intense heat to smelt out those deeply embedded alloys.
So after this whole rigorous process, what's the result? What do you get? The texts describe a mind that is completely transformed. It now has these remarkable new qualities. It's not just clean, it's incredibly capable.
The refined mind is described with 3 key Pali terms, and they beautifully capture its new nature. They show that the goal isn't just an empty mind, but one that's full of positive potential.
So, being malleable and workable means the mind becomes pliable and soft, not rigid. It's ready for any task. It's like that perfectly refined gold that a goldsmith can shape into any beautiful design. And radiant, well, it just shines with its own inner light, now that it's free from all that dullness.
So here's the crucial point. A purified mind isn't just a calm mind. It's an incredibly capable and powerful tool. It becomes steady, unshakable, and perfectly suited for the most profound tasks you can imagine, like gaining deep insight into the nature of reality itself.
But hang on, we're not quite done. There's a big difference between just cleaning the mind and making sure those stains can never ever return. Wiping a surface clean is one thing, but removing the source of the stain, that's the final goal.
Beyond those surface-level impurities, the texts talk about something called asava. These are the deepest, most fundamental defilements. You could think of them as these effluents that just flow out from the unconscious and keep fueling our problems. These are the very roots of the issue.
And to illustrate just how permanent this final step is, the texts use a really stark and powerful agricultural image.
When these deep-rooted defilements, the asava, are finally uprooted, they're described as being completely obliterated. They're made like a palm stump, meaning there is absolutely no possibility of them ever growing back. This isn't just weeding. This is pulling out the entire root system for good.
So this ancient metaphor from the goldsmith's workshop really leaves us with a deeply personal question, doesn't it?
It's an invitation to look within and ask ourselves, what's covering up our own mind's brilliance, and what can we do, step by step, to start that refining process?